And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Boy, I'll tell you what, thank goodness it's Friday. I'm ready for a wonderful weekend. I hope you are too. First off, I want to wish a very happy birthday to my young grandson, turned 8 years old today, little Johnny. Johnny, it's going to be a great day for you. You'll never see 8 again, but you're going to enjoy this one, that's for sure. Now, I want you to know that on today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and our new segment, the rest of the story. It's going to be a tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey. On today's special segments, John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and I are going to be talking about conservative politics, and God only knows what else we're going to talk about. And David Garrett will be here. He'll be presenting his Garrett on the Law series. Always very interesting, and always a lot of stuff going on. David is a very articulate attorney with a lot of experience. But right off, first thing we want to do is remind you that at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 88 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 54 degrees, but it's a beautiful day, cloudless and just gorgeous. Reminds you of why you live in Southern California, for those of us that do, by the way. Now, let's get into the news. We're going to hit the 10 items that you really need to know about that's going on, but we've encapsulated them so you could just get an idea of what's happening, and then we'll get more in depth right after this. And the first up is 10 things to know for Friday. Now, this is your daily look at late breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that'll be talked about all day today and tomorrow. And first up is the World Health Organization met in D.C. Donald Trump and House Representatives Speaker Paul Ryan declared that they are totally committed to working together to win in November. Now, I said the World Health Organization. That also stands for WHO, by the way. And where a president vows to fight her ouster. Well, Brazil's Dilma Rousseff vows to use all legal means to continue opposing her impeachment, raising the specter of continued political turmoil. Then the torch continues toward Rio. Rousseff's political fate fight, not to affect the troubled Rio de Janeiro Summer Olympics, but Brazil remains mirrored in the deepest recession, and it's at the epicenter of the mosquito-borne Zika virus. I got a feeling they're either going to cancel, postpone, or at least move the Summer Olympics. And then Olympic troubles for Russia and Kenya. The games could go on without either country's track team after the World Anti-Doping Agency bans Kenya's drug fighting agency and releases some terrible numbers about testing in Russia. Then, why Facebook is trending. Well, the social media giant pulls back the curtain on how its trending topics feature works, a reaction to a report that suggested Facebook downplays conservative news. Then, what the Pope said about women. Francis says he's willing to study whether women can be deacons, signaling openness to letting women perform many of the same functions as priests. Well, time will tell. You know, if you're an old Catholic, this could be a tough thing for you to swallow. And Zimmerman, his gun is up for sale. The pistol George Zimmerman used to kill unarmed black teenager Trayvon Martin was yanked by one gun sales website, but posted by another. And then Obama rekindles the World War II era debate. The president's decision to tour Hiroshima is stirring discussion on both sides of the Pacific about the nuclear attack that destroyed the Japanese city. And a swan song in Nashville. ABC is canceling the country music drama series Nashville after 4 seasons, drawing an immediate lament from the city of Nashville's mayor. And then, finally, more changes for youth football. Pop Warner bans kickoffs in its 3 youngest age divisions on the same day as the death of a California teenager whose paralyzing football injury led to increased safety protections for young players. Wow. Can you imagine? Well, let's get into some more in-depth news here. Let's start off with the self-funded Donald Trump preparing to seek big donor money. Yeah. The billionaire presidential candidate who prides himself on paying his own way and bashed his competition for relying on political donors now wants their money, and lots of it. Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, recently hired a national finance chairman, scheduled his first fundraiser, and is on the cusp of signing a deal with the Republican Party that would enable him to solicit donations of more than $300,000 apiece from supporters. His money raising begins right away. The still forming finance team is planning a Dialing for Dollars event on the 5th floor of Trump Tower in New York City, and the campaign is at work on a fundraising website focused on small donations, in addition to the May 25th fundraiser at the Los Angeles home of real estate developer Tom Barrack. He'll hold another soon thereafter in New York. The political newcomer faces a gargantuan task. A general election campaign can easily run up to $1 billion tab. Yep. For the primary race, Trump spent a tiny fraction of that amount. He's estimated $50 million of his own money, plus about $12 million from donors who sought his campaign out on their own, not solicited. Well, we'll see what happens. But you know what? People are going to cause him a problem because he was saying it was going to be self-funded. But, the truth is, how ridiculous can that be? The truth is that, he was self-funded through the primary. Now he's in the general. The GOP, if they want to win the White House, they ought to help him do it. That's the way I see it. Well, states dig in against the directive on transgender bathroom use. Politicians in Texas, Arkansas, and elsewhere vowed defiance, and other conservative states could follow suit after the Obama administration told public schools across the United States today to let transgender students use the bathrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity. The federal government's guidance was met with tearful praise from parents of transgender students. It's breathtaking that these students, or these kids, are losing their lives because they can't be accepted, Hope Tyler, who has a transgender son at a Raleigh high school, said in reference to suicides among transgender people. Somebody has to speak for the kids. The director from the United States Justice and Education Departments represents an escalation in the fast-moving dispute over what is becoming the civil rights issue of the day. One by one, conservative political leaders thundered against it, and President Barack Obama. This is the most outrageous example yet of the Obama administration forcing its liberal agenda on states that roundly reject it, said Mississippi Republican Governor Phil Bryant. Well, we'll see what happens with it. You can bet, just bet, it's going to wind up at the Supreme Court at some point. Yeah. Now, don't go away. We've got to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Lebanon's Hezbollah most senior commander, this is good news, killed in Syria. We'll be right back. I'll tell you all about it. Don't go away, folks. Got a lot of good show for you.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. And right off the top, Lebanon's Hezbollah most senior commander is killed in Syria. Well, the top military commander of Lebanon's Hezbollah was killed in an explosion near Syrian capital of Damascus, the Shiite guerrilla group said just today. The highest level casualty yet in its intervention in the raging civil war next door. The death of Mustafa Bedreddin strikes a heavy blow to the militant group and underscores how its deployment in Syria, backing President Bashar Assad, has widened its circle of enemies beyond traditional foe Israel to include Sunni extremists and conservative Gulf monarchies. Well, the 55-year-old Bedreddin had directed Hezbollah's operations in Syria since its fighters joined Assad's forces in the year 2012. The group's biggest ever military invention outside of Lebanon, thousands of guerrillas fighting alongside Syria's military were crucial to tipping the battlefield in the government's favor on multiple fronts, from the suburbs of Damascus to the northern province of Aleppo. But it has come at a heavy price, with more than 1,000 Hezbollah fighters killed, sounding a tone of defiance today. The group's deputy leader said they were undeterred. By killing you, they gave a new push to our drive that produces one martyr after another, as well as one commander after another, Naim Qasim said, as the slain military chief was buried in a cemetery in southern Beirut. You know what? Still, the slaying was unlikely to lead Hezbollah to reduce its role in Syria. We'll see what the future has to hold. How many people can you kill before there's no people left? Think about it. That's kind of sad, isn't it? Prolific. You know what? As flyers wait in security lines, government asks for patience. I've got to tell you, my good buddy Don Armstrong just returned from a cruise overseas, and he was telling me about the log jam to get back into the United States through customs in Los Angeles. So it took him 2 hours. Just ridiculous stuff going on. Well, you know, facing a growing backlash over extremely long waits at airport security, Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson asked flyers to be patient as the government takes steps to get them into places more quickly. Travelers across the country have endured lengthy security lines, some snaking up and down escalators or through food courts and into terminal lobbies. At some airports, lines during peak hours have topped 90 minutes. Airlines have reported holding planes at gates to wait for passengers to clear security. Johnson said today that the government is working to ease the lines, although travelers should expect to wait as they travel this summer. Whatever steps TSA takes, Johnson said it won't neglect neglect its duty to stop terrorists. Our job is to keep the American people safe. Johnson told reporters at a news conference, we're not going to compromise aviation security in the face of this. Well, you know what? You can't really hardly argue with that, can you? I don't think so. Well, Apple's back in the news. Why Apple plunked $1 billion into Chinese ride-hailing. You know, Apple's new $1 billion investment in the Chinese ride-hailing service, Didi Chuxing, is as much about currying favor with regulators as directly expanding its own business, analysts said. Apple might need the help. It's facing slowing iPhone sales and tougher restrictions on its services in the country. The investment, one of Apple's largest to date, could serve other purposes as well. It helps the company put some of its giant overseas cash hoard to work without incurring taxes by bringing it back into the United States. It might also inform Apple's own interest in the automotive business. Several reports suggest it has begun work on its own self-driving car. It kills 2 or 3 birds with one stone, said Patrick Moorhead, principal analyst with More Insights and Strategy. Just last month, Apple was forced to shutter its iTunes Movies and iBooks store in China, a company spokesman confirmed. A few days later, the company reported that sales in mainland China, primarily of iPhones, fell 11% in the first quarter, a big contributor to its first quarterly revenue decline in 13 years. The Chinese government knows what they have is access to this massive market. Moorhead said, what they would like is for you to take China more seriously by making major investments in the country, he said. With the global market for smartphones cooling, Apple has increasingly emphasized the money that it makes from services such as music streaming and media downloads. Well, we'll see what they've got, we got to do. We talked to our own Joel Saltzman about that just this last Wednesday. Apple's innovation has sort of died along with Steve Jobs. So we'll see what happens. And an Associated News break. Anti-counterfeiting group suspends Alibaba. An anti-counterfeiting group said Friday that it was suspending Alibaba's membership following an uproar by some companies that view the Chinese e-commerce giant as the world's largest marketplace for fakes. The International Anti-Counterfeiting Coalition told members that it had failed to inform the board of directors about conflicts of interest involving the group's president, Robert Barchesi. Earlier today, the Associated Press reported that Barchesi had stock in Alibaba, had close ties to an Alibaba executive, and had used family members to help run the coalition. The coalition, in a letter to members sent after the AP report came out, said conflicts weren't disclosed to the board because of a weakness in our corporate governance procedures. It said the failure was not because of inaction on Bob's part, referring to Barchesi. The coalition said that it is hiring an independent firm to review its corporate government policies. In its letter, the board said that as a result of members' concerns, it was suspending a new class of membership under which Alibaba had recently joined. The move would affect 2 other companies that signed up under the new rules. Jennifer Cooperman, Alibaba's head of international corporate affairs, said companies like Alibaba were important for solving the problem of counterfeiting. Yep, I would think so. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, you can guess, we're going to deal with the IRS loses. And the first case we have is a farmer's profit motive makes losses deductible. And I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. We've got a lot of great show for you. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses. website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. Let's not waste any time. Let's just get right to it. First off, I want you to know that a farmer's profit motive makes his losses deductible. Now that sounds okay, right? Sounds normal? Listen to this. Benny Mullins was a successful business owner who grew up on a farm and wanted to return to owning one. He bought a cattle farm and, after semi-retiring, lived and worked on it. The farm incurred steady losses. The IRS said these losses showed it was not being run for profit, but to shelter income Mullins still received from his business and disallowed the loss deductions. So Mullins went to court, and this is what the judge said. Mullins worked 50 hours a week on the farm, moved to a primitive home located on it to be there to work, and consulted with experts and repeatedly changed farming strategies to improve profitability. All this indicated he did have a profit motive, so his losses absolutely were deductible. And the IRS has to pay him interest on the delayed result of his tax returns. He would have gotten a refund, so that's what's going on there. Try this one on for size. The IRS loses. President in name only is not liable for a company's unpaid taxes. Sounds a little strange. Here's the story. Ellen Marino was the president of a lending company founded by her son. Now, but the business was actually run by her live-in companion, who was ineligible under state law to be an officer of the company because of his past credit problems. Anyway, any tasks that Ellen actually performed for the company, she did under his direction. When the company fell behind on its payroll taxes, the IRS contacted her and she informed her companion. Eventually, the IRS assessed $76,000 in personal liability against her for the unpaid taxes. Well, she went to court. This is what the judge said. Marino had no real authority over the company's finances, so she was not responsible nor liable for the taxes. Now, the IRS just wants to flex its muscles, whether they're right, they're wrong, they're fair, or they're unfair. Try this one on for size. The IRS loses. They cannot seize winnings one player wins for another player. Sounds reasonable? Listen to this. Robert Whitlatch devised a system for winning video lottery jackpots. It required playing the same machine for many hours. So he hired Paul Kovach to play a machine for him and gave Kovach all the funds to be wagered. When Kovach hit a jackpot, Whitlatch claimed it, but both the casino and IRS said it was payable to Kovach, the actual player. The IRS then tried to take the entire jackpot to settle Kovach's back taxes, his debts that he already owed. He went to court. This is what the judge said. Neither the state gaming law nor the casino's published rules barred one person from playing for another. So the winnings are Whitlatch's, who also collects interest from the IRS for his delay in collecting those winnings. And that, my friends, is what you consider to be fair. It's too bad that the IRS wasn't actually forced to have to pay the attorney fees as well. Seems to me that would have been a reasonable thing to do here when you think about it. Now, we're in this next segment we're talking about inside the IRS. It's not tax court cases, but it's a little bit like the Twilight Zone, seeing what's going on behind the scenes. Oh, yeah, here we are inside the IRS. You know what? And why don't we just get right to it and not waste any time? This first issue is trusts created to evade income taxes. You know, the latest scheme, income-producing assets are transferred to a trust. The beneficiary of the trust then withdraws funds from the trust in the form of a loan. No tax has to be paid on the income earned by the trust or on the funds withdrawn from it. After the IRS identifies the promoter of such trust schemes, it's going to bring an action in federal court seeking a permanent injunction against the promoter from selling these trusts to other unsuspecting taxpayers. If the IRS finds that the promoter continuing to sell the schemes after the permanent injunction is granted, it will ask the court to send the promoter to jail for contempt of court. Well, here's one more for you. IRS whistleblower points the finger at IRS executives. Yeah, you heard me right. An attorney currently employed by the IRS publicly expressed concern about the way the Office of Chief Counsel issued rulings relating to synthetic fuel cases that favored the well-connected oil and gas industry. Now, he has made new claims about special access. Specifically, he claims that special access is granted to former IRS executives who currently work for large accounting and law firms. Now, from my perspective here, relationships created while working at the IRS, especially at the executive level, they just can't hurt when it comes to representing a client. However, in my experience, the best accommodation that can be expected is that your client's matter is not put on a back burner if the determination or ruling is time sensitive. And that is what you really want. That's what you really expect. Now, don't go away. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be with John Matthews and Joe Hakos. We'll be doing our simulcast. We do it twice a week, every Monday and Friday here on Robert Cardoza Live. We'll be right back with John and Joe and me, Bob.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this. The Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
And before we get to John, I want you to know that I am Robert Cardoza live, talking to you with about politics, business, and you. And I want you to know that at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 88 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 54 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 59 degrees and it's overcast. And in Chicago, Illinois, it's 65 degrees and it's also overcast. I want to remind you that coming up later in the show, we're going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. You know, he was the biggest and best voice in America, revealing the startling heartbeats behind the headlines. Paul Harvey was one of America's favorite radio and TV commentators, and you're going to love the stories that we're talking about. This first one that we're going to talk about today, not the first one, but the one we're going to talk about today is actually the 11th one we've been doing in our series, is the kidnapping of Bab. Now, you might think you know what this is all about, but there is no way. Now, in about 30 seconds or so, our own John Matthews and Joe Hakos will be calling in, and we'll be starting our simulcast. We'll be talking politics and God only knows what else. And I want to ask John about his vacation. He's going to be leaving off to Europe here for a couple of weeks, and we'll see what kind of damage that Joe Hakos and I can do while John's gone. God only knows. He'll either increase his listenership or he'll lose it. We don't know what's going to happen there, but they'll be calling in any second now, and we'll see what actually transpires. A couple of really great guys. Nobody more knowledgeable about conservative politics or politics in general, as far as I'm concerned. Kind of controversial. We don't always agree with each other, but we always have a lively interaction, and that's the good part about what goes on with John Matthews and Joe Hakos. They should be, they're a little over there. They go right now, and here we are with John Matthews and Joe Hakos in the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, John, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, my friend?
You know what? Going terrific. I mean, terrific. I got to tell you, I am so excited today that it's unbelievable. Matter of fact, hey, Joe, are you out there?
Oh no, Joe's not here today. He had a work obligation that took him off the air today. But what are you excited about?
I'm excited because for the next 2 weeks, Joe and I are going to have an opportunity to subvert your entire broadcast. We are going to be able to either run it into the ground, or we're going to build your listenership, or God only knows what kind of damage we can do for the next 2 weeks.
Well, just remember, I know where you live.
Listen, what a great opportunity. Europe. Where are you headed out to?
Yeah, see, and I won't drive out to Florida to find Joe, but you're less than an hour away from me.
Well, you know what? I would never do anything to hurt you. I care about you too much, so you can.
I know.
Yeah,
I get that. You know, some of my friends here in our chat room, I sometimes wonder, but
yeah, boy, I'll tell you a lot of stuff, going on in the news. I'm sitting back and I'm thinking to myself, John, here we have Donald Trump going to Washington, D.C. to try and cultivate some kind of a relationship with the good old boy network, and we're trying to decide who's more important to who. Donald Trump needs the good old boy network because he needs to get those voters to come behind him if he wants to get into the White House, and the good old boy network needs to have Donald Trump be successful if they want to get into the White House and not lose a Senate majority. And then we sit back, and if you don't like Donald Trump, well, you only got one other choice, really, and that's Hillary Clinton, unless she gets indicted and then Bernie Sanders gets in there, and God knows what we'll do.
Well, I see it a little bit differently than you do.
I knew you would.
I don't think Trump needs the conservatives, because there actually is too far and few little left of us. There aren't that many conservatives left out here anymore. And I think the number of people that call themselves conservatives that support Trump, I think, proves that. On the other hand, I don't think Paul Ryan and the Republicans really want anything to do with Donald Trump. I think a lot of it is just face talk right now. I think, as you just said, they would rather have the alternative, Hillary Clinton, because she's one of them. Hillary Clinton is as establishment as anybody can be. I have a hard time, still haven't figured out the angle here as to what it is Donald Trump brings to the table that the establishment is so upset about, because he is actually one of their own.
Yeah.
He's just an establishment type that has never run for office before, or seriously run for office. He's waded into it, put his pinkies in the water a couple of times and then just backed out. But this is the first time, he's just come in full bore and just said, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I think what the Republicans are doing is it's a face game right now. They're trying to figure out how are we going to let Hillary win without us being blamed for it.
Well, but you know what? I think it goes a lot deeper than that. I think that what's going to.
I'm sorry?
I think it goes a lot deeper than that, John. I think that what's going to wind up happening is they'd rather have Hillary than Donald, because Donald is going to really, really shake things up in Washington, D.C. And I think that the good old boy network wants to make sure that they stay intact, that they stay powerful. And I'm not so sure that Donald wouldn't do the same thing Obama did, use those executive orders and executive authority to circumvent Congress if these guys don't back behind him. But the thing is, if the good old boy network can't deliver to Donald the Hispanic vote and the women's vote, he doesn't have a chance to get the White House. Otherwise, he's got a really great chance right now.
Well, again, I don't totally agree with that assessment. I don't think that we need the Hispanic vote to win. I do believe that what will happen as the general election begins to play out, I think a lot of people in the Sanders camp will wade over into the Trump camp. I think that will happen. They seem to be just as adamant about not voting for Hillary as the Republican establishment is about not voting for Trump. So I think to some degree that kind of neutralizes everything. You're not going to get these college kids. They have no loyalty to the Clintons. They have no loyalty to the Democrat Party.
Well, but here's the thing about the college kids. The college kids, they go to all these rallies and they do all these protests. They do all these things. You know what they don't do? They don't go to the polls.
Well, that's the cliffhanger there. That's the $64 question. Are all these kids that are excited about Bernie Sanders, should he not get the nomination, will they show up and vote? On the same side of it here, I think, for the most part, I believe most people that think like I do, and I believe real conservatives, contrasted against the pseudo conservatives out there. But, we have resigned ourselves to this. Basically, it comes down to this. Unfortunately, it is a lesser of two evils again. And it's kind of like, well, we're not real happy about Trump and everything else, but knowing that the alternative is Hillary, you've got to look at it and say, well, Trump may have all the baggage and he may, be everything that he used to be and now is claiming he's not. But there's a 50-50 chance that he'll at least do something right. It's kind of like, so we're kind of, okay, let's go that way. Whereas we know that if we stick with Hillary, what we're going to get Obama on steroids, because that everything I see coming out of the Obama camp right now is kind of preparing the fertile soil for Hillary to be able to just continue his legacy and not really have to do anything. Because if this woman is left to think on her own, she's going to not only screw up the country, she's going to screw up Obama's legacy.
Yeah, but you know who's going to screw up the country and everybody's legacy? It's going to be Congress. You know why? Congress didn't do anything for the last 8 years to move our country forward. And if Hillary gets in, they're not going to do anything for the next 4 or 8 years. And they're already kind of indicating that if Trump gets in, they're not going to do anything for the next 4 or 8 years. Where the heck are we going to be if we can't get Congress to start doing their job and at least finding some positive way to move or inch ourselves forward?
Well, I'm hoping that should Hillary get into office, that Congress doesn't do anything.
Well, I think that goes unsaid. There's no way they won't. They're not going to do anything any different. Maybe even take a tougher, they'd probably take a tougher stand than they did under Obama. But it just seems to me that you've got to feel the same way I do. It's time for us to recognize that both sides do have some things that they agree on. Why can't they move those things forward and let the other stuff stay on the back burner?
Well, because the things that they agree on in terms of idealism or ideology or principles, if you want to call it that, I don't see any principles, but we're having a political discussion, so we'll use that word.
Yeah.
If we say, the ideas that they have in terms of what they think is best for the country, they're more similar than they are different, actually. And I think the only reason they've never been able to just kind of come together and say, okay, let's get it done. Let's go ahead and get it done, is because no one really wants to admit that they're more like the other side than they've been saying they're not.
Oh, you hit the nail right on the head. John, you are 100% right on the button there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of pride. It's just a matter of saying we want to be able to say that we've turned the country towards progressivism. So the progressives say we can't in any way sound like we're agreeing with the conservatives. The conservatives are saying, well, we really don't want to be conservatives, but we don't really want to say that. So we'll continue to say We'll continue we are. Why we just give little by little. We give up inches and inches, and then feet, and then yards, and then miles, and then the whole time we'll just keep telling everybody, no, we're actually conservatives.
Well, you know what? If the Pope can say that women can do priestly things now, why can't the Republicans and Democrats agree that they can do things that are progressive for our country?
Well, it's because of the terminology. See, we live in a buzzword world where the wrong word said the right way or the right word said the wrong way is completely taken out of context. And, like this whole thing with the transgender stuff. Uh-huh. We're discriminating against the LGBT. We're not protecting the privacy or the the security of our children, we're discriminating. And you hear it when you come out with this type of language where you're saying, we want to make sure everybody feels safe. Well, you can't do that if you've got one side, the larger group of people saying, hey, we don't like this, and the smaller group of people saying, oh, we love it. How do you equate that? That's because if you stand on the side that opposes something like this, then you are the bad guy. You are the one that needs to be re-educated, and you're the ones that need to be retrained in the progressive ideology of anything that anybody does is okay as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else kind of mentality. So there's a whole train of thought that goes behind just the buzzwords out there, what they throw out there, and that becomes the issue. The buzzword becomes the issue, not the issue itself.
Boy,
and so it's demeaning to everybody involved. This thing with kids is all about, we're not discriminating against LGBT people. We're just saying we don't want our kids in the bathrooms with them. And even that is not the case. What we're saying is that something like this can allow predators to use it as an excuse to gain access to these bathrooms. It's about the predators out there. It's not even about the homosexuals or the transgenders.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. You're absolutely right. Hey, listen, we've got to take a break. We'll be right back with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate simulcast right after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:48 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 88 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 55 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, it's 55 degrees and it's clear. And in Rome, Italy, it's 59 degrees and it's also clear. I want to tell you that to stand by because later on in the show, we're going to be doing our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. You know, what a great, great man he was. You know, he was actually heard in over 775 ABC radio stations, over 400 foreign stations, and seen on 110 television stations. So, well, we're back with our own John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, John, you're back. We got this timing down.
Yeah. To kind of pick up where we left off at here, this whole idea of the unity concept that's being floated out here by the GOP right now, the media in particular, they're out here talking about the fact, okay, the party's got to come together and this, that, and the other. Trump has already voiced this, and I think aptly so, that he doesn't really need unity in the Republican Party. He has gotten as far as he's gotten by actually separating himself, or at least verbally separating himself and saying, I don't really care about these people. You know, they're politicians. They can't get anything done. They don't know what they're doing. They're all dumb. They're all stupid. And he's been able to build this following that at last count, he's been able to acquire more votes per se than Romney or McCain did during their entire campaigns, and we're not even into the general election cycle officially yet. So I think Trump is, we were talking yesterday about the show about Trump and Ryan sitting down, and we're trying to envision it, and Ryan looking at Trump and saying, well, this is what we want, and Trump saying, I don't give a damn what you want. This is what we want.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's the Barry Goldwater theorem. What I call the Goldwater theorem is that once you sit down and negotiate with your opponents, you've already lost, because that means you've got something you're willing to give up. I don't think Trump has any intention of giving any ground.
Oh, I don't either. You know what? Although I got to tell you though, recently, the last day or two, he does seem to be backpedaling on a number of issues that he was very strong on. When he talked about not letting any Muslims into the United States and the immigration issues and things like that, he seems to be backpedaling a little bit the last couple of days.
Yeah, and people are still trying to tell me the guy's not a politician. What he's doing is he's banking on the fact that there are enough dissatisfied voters on the left that he's going to be able to come in, walk back some of his comments, soften it up a little bit, and he'll be able to drag in some of these Sanders supporters.
Well, you know what it is, John? He didn't really think he could get this far. Now that he is the nominee for the GOP, he's got a chance he could win the White House. He knows, hey, I got to soften up. I got to change my story. I'll never get in there this way.
Well, if he was smart, what he would do at this point is say, I agree with Bernie Sanders. Let's give everybody free education.
Yeah, you know what? He's probably going to name Bernie Sanders as his VP.
Yeah. We'll put Bernie Sanders in charge of the Department of Education.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll be free, right?
Yeah, and we'll just make it free. And not only that, we'll make the universities pay for it. Let's take this Mexican wall thing, okay? We're going to build a wall and Mexico will pay for it. Yeah. We're going to have better trade and China's going to pay for it. Everybody else is going to pay for the great deals that we get. So let's just go to the universities and say, hey, all that money you've been banking all these centuries, you're going to pay for the education of these kids.
I think he's going to call Vladimir Putin and ask him if he'll pay for the general election campaign.
Oh, if he was smart, he'd be kissing up to Benjamin Netanyahu. That's who.
Oh yeah, anyway, absolutely.
I don't expect that. The only leverage I could see that the Republican Party might have with Donald Trump is in terms of funding his campaign. He's no longer self-funding. He is now. I think the object in his train of thought, his campaign was, I'll self-fund myself through the primary, but once I get it, if I make it to the general election, then okay, we're going to start doing the political game. Because one of the things we've been reading about here is the amount of money that was being dumped into the Cruz campaign is now being funneled over to the Clinton campaign.
Whoa, really? Well, you know what? I personally don't have a problem with him trying to raise money. They're saying he needs over $1 billion for his general campaign. And the truth is that he got a long way with the way that he did it. I think that at this point, if he is going to be the candidate for the GOP has to step up and support him.
Well, I agree. It's like we can't be doing this 200 plus years or the 160 years that we've had the Republican Party and saying, as John Boehner was saying when everybody thought Trump was going to be removed and we were going to end up with Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio. And it was like, well, back then they were calling on Trump. Well, this is the way we do it. You got to back the candidate that ends up winning. And now they're trying to walk it back because neither one of their people got in, and now it's all Trump. And he's saying, well, wait a minute, back here you told me we're going to back the candidate, and now you don't want to do it. So the politicizing of all this stuff is just the shiny object that everybody's paying attention to while they start ironing out the details. And the details are, what are you going to give us? The establishment's sitting here going, basically, Trump, what are you going to give us in exchange for us finally coming out and saying we're going to support you?
Yeah.
Now, if Trump decides that he doesn't really want to go that route, he may do it behind closed doors, but in the public arena, he's going to continue doing what he's doing. He would be a fool right now to change that.
Oh yeah, it's a winning strategy the way he's got it going now, and he can't walk away from it.
now that we're coming into the general election cycle, he's not going to get all that free airtime without at least some of it going to the other side.
Matter of fact, because of the law, an equal amount has to go to the other side.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see some of the changes. I've been actually, forcing myself to watch some of the Fox News stuff. I've been paying attention to O'Reilly, who I just personally detest, Megyn Kelly, and Hannity for as long as I can bear it without throwing up. So, I've been watching these guys, and I'm watching them tempering their style and what they're talking about. And when this election cycle gets into gear here, because it's not going to be, it's going to be more paparazzi than it's going to be policies and agenda. It's not going to be, we're not going to have these great debates that everybody's looking forward to between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are just going to be mudfests. And it's going to be who can dig up the most dirt on the other person and how much of it sticks.
You know what? And I don't know about you, but I agree with you. That's exactly what's going to happen. But it actually is disappointing to me because I'd really like to have them, debate issues. But since there aren't any issues they can really debate, all they can do is throw mud at each other. Is that what we want for a president, a mudslinger? I don't think so.
Well, people like us, Bob, they could care less what we want. That's the truth of it. They're not pandering to us. They want the misinformed, uninformed, and non-informed people going to the voting polls. And if I was going to find a fallacy with what's going on today and a fault, it would have to be the fact that we let too many stupid people vote. Yeah. And there should be some kind of citizenship test or something that you've got to take. At least if you're going to vote liberal, you should at least know what the Constitution says.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know what? And it's interesting. As a young boy in grade school, you could not graduate. I'm aging myself. When I went to school, they didn't have the beginning schools and middle schools and then high schools. It was you went to one school from the first grade through the 8th grade, then you went to high school, then you to college, and you could not get out of grammar school. That was 1 through 8. You couldn't get out of there without passing a civics test. You had to know something about your government.
Oh, I had the same thing. In 5th grade, we had our history class. The entire year was spent studying the Constitution. And at the end of the year, you had to take a 300-question Constitution test. And if you didn't pass that test, you didn't move on to junior high.
Yeah.
It was like you were held back. It didn't matter what your grade point average was. It was imperative that you pass the Constitution, which, by the way, I'm proud to say I got 298 out of 300.
Yeah, here's the deal. They'll graduate you without you being able to read or write, but you have to be able to pass that civics exam.
Yeah, you had to be able to know what the country was about, and it was imperative. You're absolutely right. Today, they don't even teach it in college, for crying out loud. Yeah. I have friends who have kids in college today that are taking political science as a major, and when I talk to them about their political classes, the stuff they tell me, I'm like, well, where's the politics? I mean, where's the Constitution? It's all about the politics. It's nothing about the Constitution.
Yeah.
It's about the political leanings and the ideologies much more than it is about what we were established on.
Well, John, unfortunately, we are out of time. Give yourself a commercial real quick and make sure, now I won't be talking to you next week or the next couple of weeks, but you stay safe and stay happy. Have a great time. But just be aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah, we're going over into some of the red zones over into Europe, so I may be staying on the ship most of the time, stay with the suicide bombers or whatever. But just visit us at theconservativesyndicate.net, and you'll find everything you need to know about our show, and that's all you got to know, theconservativesyndicate.net.
Have a great time. Take lots of pictures, and let's talk when you get back. Let's have lunch or something.
All right. God bless.
All right. Same to you. Take care. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we'll be with David Garrett on the law. Don't go away, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bowels of the Hall of Justice, our own legal guru, David Garrett, attorney at law.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:02 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 88 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from, well, it's not down from anything. That's the high today. It's on its way to 54 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, well, 55 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 59 degrees and it's clear. But there is no place more beautiful than sunny Southern California right now. It's 88 degrees and absolutely magnificent. Well, talking about magnificence, we've got him waiting in the wings, our own David Garrett. Hey, David, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am doing terrific. I tell everybody I'm toothless and painless.
There you go.
Boy, I'll tell you, it is just magnificent. What a day outside. Holy cow. Have you been out there, or you've been stuck in court all day?
I've been stuck inside all day long.
Oh.
Looking out the window, it looks pretty nice out there.
So I'm guessing you're looking out the window and you're thinking about what you're going to be doing off of a boat tomorrow.
Yes, I'm planning on fishing in the morning.
That's terrific. Hey, listen, what's new and exciting in the world of law these days?
Well, I was listening to TV last night and heard about the U.S. Department of Justice's newest thing on this education deal.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to talk about that.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I started doing a little bit of looking at this, and I don't know. I think somebody's smoking something back there in Washington.
Aren't they kind of stretching their authority a little bit, doing this, saying, hey, we have this transgender issue, and we have this Board of Education issue, and the Department of Justice issue, and if you guys, it's not that it's legal or illegal, but if you don't do it, we might take federal funds away from you? There's got to be something wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that is, and I mean, the case that they're relying on a little bit to do this still hasn't even been decided.
I mean, isn't this something for the Supreme Court to decide? This isn't something for some local legislator to decide, is it?
Well, I think I don't think it is. I think it's the federal government or somebody in the federal government trying to impose their views on the rest of the country.
Yeah, this is a real can of worms. Every time I try to think of myself as being pretty open-minded and pretty objective, and yet now it seems like we're getting down to a nitpicking thing that it's a stretch for me, the things that they're trying to do. Now if they're going to have these transgender issues and the transgender person is going to decide which bathroom they need to go to, then I think what really has to happen, at least in major facilities and bigger facilities, is they need to add another bathroom. They need to have one for men, one for women, and one for transgenders.
That would work, but in the underlying case that prompted all this stuff, they did just that. They had one for men, they had one for women, and they also made unisex bathrooms. Anybody wants to can go in them.
Well, you know what? And the unisex actually that is the solution to it, because other than that, what winds up happening is that you can be transgender and you can get boobs because you get the hormones, and you can get rid of the facial hair and let your other hair grow. Do all those things, right? But generally, what stops you is that those organs that you got down south. They're very, very expensive and sometimes impossible to alter, and so you wind up not really going through this transformation other than mentally. And I'm thinking that the unisex bathrooms really does solve that problem. You know what? If you are not built 100% like a woman, you shouldn't be able to go into the woman's bathroom.
Let me read this. Something out of this court case to you.
Okay.
They used, Gigi alleges, what the school did is they went in and they created unisex bathrooms, put stall doors on, and, a bunch of things to promote privacy.
Mm-hmm.
But the people still objected to the female transgender, so going in the male's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in the 9th grade is where this happened. But so this is what they come up with. Gigi alleges he cannot use the girls' restroom because women and girls in those facilities react negatively because they perceive Gigi to be a boy. Further, using the girls' restroom would cause severe psychological distress to Gigi and would be incompatible with his treatment for gender dysphoria. As a corollary to the policy, the board announced a series of upgrades, and we just went through those. Gigi alleges he cannot use these new unisex restrooms because they make him feel even more stigmatized. Being required to use the separate restroom sets him apart from his peers and serves as a daily reminder that the school views him as different.
Well, David, in Europe, they've had unisex bathrooms for as long as I can remember. I mean, my wife and I have been going to Europe since the 60s. And, maybe not the 60s, let's say the 70s. And, you know what? It's what seemed strange to us at the time for our first visit or two became just a normal thing after a while. Europe had unisex bathrooms. There was nothing to be said, nothing to make you uncomfortable or embarrass you. There was plenty of privacy. If all of a sudden now we're going to go from male, female, transgender to mental competency, I think now we're going too far.
Yeah. Here's the difficulty that I'm having with this whole thing, and this is right out of the letter that was sent out today. We're going to talk about a term called gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
And it says gender identity refers to an individual's internal sense of gender.
What they feel.
Yeah, what they feel and think.
Mm-hmm.
That's gender identity. Transgender refers to individuals whose gender identity is different from the sex they were assigned at birth. Okay, I got that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got somebody that thinks they're part of has identified with a different sexual orientation. Gender transition refers to the process in which transgender individuals begin asserting the sex that corresponds to their gender identity instead of the sex they were assigned at birth. Okay, that we're going to do the change. But where it gets into trouble here is transgender individuals may undergo gender transition at any stage of their lives, and gender transition can happen swiftly or over a long duration of time.
Well, David, didn't we really come up with what the solution was? Even here in the United States, isn't the solution to get a carpenter, go into the bathrooms, raise the stalls to the ceiling to the floor, and put doors, solid doors on there, which a lot of bathrooms have these days nowadays anyway, so that there is absolutely a total privacy. And doesn't that solve the problem?
Oh, I think it would. I mean,
you go in, you no longer have a men's, you no longer have a ladies. They're just, or a boys and girls. You've got a unisex in all this, everything looks the same. You don't see the urinals anymore. You've got stalls.
Right. I wouldn't have any trouble with the unisex approach. I wouldn't have any trouble personally with somebody that's going through a gender transition. If they're changing from a guy to a girl.
Yeah, if it's legitimate.
Yeah, go in there and do it.
Yeah.
What I have trouble with is when they use the term gender identity and it's based on what somebody feels.
Yeah. You know what? And so today I saw this gorgeous woman walk into that bathroom, and so I don't care what you think, but I feel like a woman, and I'm going in there with her.
Exactly. I mean, this stuff is just, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here. If somebody is intent enough on having being transgender, they want to change to something else, at least let's start that process before we make a change.
Yeah.
And say, hey, it's okay to go use whatever one you want to use. And I think the biggest trouble I'm having with this thing is when it reaches down into the elementary school level.
Yeah. But if we started unisex at that level, then I don't know that it would be as big a problem. Maybe you'd need some supervision, because you know how kids are, right? So but the thing is that at some point we have got to stop this from being such a big deal. The biggest issue here is the transition. The transition about who can and when and what constitutes. And it seems to me that if the easiest solution is to create a real unisex environment, then there is no transition. Because in the meantime, if you don't do that, then what constitutes obscenity when some guy says, well, I feel like a girl, so I'm going in there. And then he gets arrested, right?
Yeah. And then his defense is, well, I felt I identified this way.
Yeah, and then is he a sexual predator? And does he go on the predators list? And I mean, at some point, we're attacking this thing backwards. Shouldn't we take care of the whole issue first and then deal with everything else?
Well, I kind of think that would be the way. I mean, the other thought that I have here is there's a certain group of sexual perversion out there, they call cross-dressers.
Yeah.
As far as I know, these people have absolutely no interest in changing their gender. They just get stimulated by dressing in the opposite sex clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. I'm not good at names, but there's this basketball player that does that, right?
Yeah,
he's now retired. I can't think of the guy's name, but really a famous guy. And what he wound up doing that so he could create all of this mystique so that he could get a bigger paycheck, because it would draw people to the stadiums to see him play. And for the life of me, I can't think of what his name was, but a controversial guy. And unfortunately, I'm just not that big a sports guy, so I don't remember those things too much. But the truth is, he's all man. He is nothing about him as a woman, but he did cross-dress and do all this stuff simply to create shock and awe.
Right. But under this letter that's gone out, he could do that, go in in that case, I think it would be the women's restroom.
Yeah.
And what is anybody going to say about it?
Right.
Because your gender identity is how I feel.
And then
how are you ever going to...
And so where does that person's right begin? And the person who was born in that sexual that gender, where does their right to have privacy end? It seems to me that the whole thing is solved with the unisex facility.
Yeah. That was definitely solid.
Yeah, so I mean, it just seems. God, am I being too simplistic? I mean, I don't get. I understand the big deal psychologically and all the ramifications and all the prejudice and all the things going on. But if you want to solve the problem, that solves the problem. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Everybody can do it. And no matter how big or small your business is, you just make it the bathroom's unisex.
Right.
And most small businesses, their bathrooms, they only have one bathroom anyway. They're already unisex.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the ultimate answer to this is, and and I don't really view my perspective as having anything to do with prejudice one way or the other. It's just if you need to have some measurable standard of what is real and what isn't real. And I would see the example that you gave of the potential for that basketball player. I mean, that's actually an insult to the people that were trying to protect their rights.
Yeah.
It's somebody making a farce of it.
That's right.
So I don't know. It's a kind of a crazy question here.
Yeah, it is.
And your answer is very simple and would be very direct and would deal with the problem. And I guess the other thing we do is just run around across the country and take all the men and women signs off all the bathrooms and say, you guys figure it out.
Yeah, so you take all the signs off, you put up a sign that says unisex, and you build the stalls from ceiling to floor, and the doors completely sealed with locks on them, and you're done.
Yeah. I was talking with one of my staff about this before we came, and they attend school at one of the local colleges here.
Mm-hmm.
Goes in the works. She goes to school in the evening, and she goes in the bathroom to use it over there. And there was some pervert in there, just being a pervert.
Yeah.
Goes out, calls the police, and they go and do something with the guy.
But that's going to happen regardless of the whether you're in a men's bathroom or a ladies' bathroom or a unisex bathroom. You're going to get perverts, and that isn't going to change.
Yeah, and the question I had to her, I says, okay, I understand that. Your reaction's real responsible, everything else. I says, how would you feel if the guy just told the cops, I identify as a woman, and the cops walked off and left?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to talk some more to our own David Garrett on the law. Boy, this is just fascinating, David. We'll be right back with David right after these brief messages. Don't go away, folks. Got a lot of great show for you.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:23 p.m. Pacific time. The heat's starting to go down a little bit. It was at 88 degrees. It's now 87 degrees, on its way down to 55 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, well, it's 50 degrees and it's overcast. And in Vienna, Austria, 55 degrees with some light rain showers. You know what? I wouldn't mind. I'd love to be there in any case. But we're talking to our own David Garrett on the law. We're talking about this issue about transgenders that is in the news today with regard to how we're going to handle it. I think we've got a solution that shouldn't be objectionable to anyone. David, you've got the microphone.
You know, I think you've nailed it on the head, to be honest with you. I think the unisex restrooms with appropriate privacy accommodates all this interest. You know, that makes a ton of sense to me. Kind of the interesting thing that I gather out of, you know, reading all this is that it just kind of points one of the weaknesses in our judicial system. And I use that in a very broad term, where as society changes or as things change or are in a state of transition, it makes it difficult, if not impossible, for the law to, you know, keep up or even, in fact, in some cases, define what they're talking about. I mean, this gender identity definition is, as I said, is how you feel. And it could be in direct conflict with a lot of other laws on the books that we have that are designed to actually, you know, protect people, but it would allow a potential defense or, you know, failure to prosecute, things of that nature on there.
Well, you know, you were saying that you have. Well, let's start this way, and without mentioning names or anything. How many females do you have on your staff in your office?
Well, it's probably around 18.
Have any of them? Have you guys? I mean, just out of conversation and interest, have any of them voiced an opinion about this transgender thing, or how they feel, or their objections to it, or whether they object to it or not?
By and large, the vast majority object to it, and this gal I was talking to was one of them that, you know, really didn't voice an objection. And I said, okay, well, I said, I'm going to give you a couple examples. One is, guy wakes up in the morning and says, I'm in a transgender. This is going to be the day that I do it. And so he starts using the women's restroom and goes along for a month or two, and then just all of a sudden decides, this really isn't working out, I don't really want to do it, and goes back to the other way. And I says, you know, this definition would say that he could do that because it's the internal feeling. I says, how would you feel as a woman if you knew that was going on?
Yeah.
And, you know, her response was, I wouldn't like that. I says that wouldn't be good.
That's because I think that psychologically, at least in this country, because, you know, we have to recognize the fact that the feelings and the judgments in this country are a lot different than you find worldwide. Worldwide, the concepts are a whole lot different when it comes to bathrooms and unisex. Matter of fact, men and women in Japan take baths together, for Pete's sake. You know, right. in public houses, and not only there, but I guess in other countries as well. And so it's really the way you get accustomed to it and how you look at it. And it just seems to me that we've got to get rid of that stigma, and to do that, it has to be fair and equitable, and you need to preserve everybody's privacy and their feelings at the same time. And yet everybody, and I mean everybody, is going to have to make some kind of an accommodation that lacks embarrassment and recognizes sensitivity. David?
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you broke up for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But the interesting thing in my discussion there was that she came up with exactly the same idea you had.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah, I said to her, I said, well, this is what the school did. They, made more privacy in the man and woman stall, and they also made unisex bathrooms. And her only comment, well, why didn't that solve it? The person could just go use the unisex.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just seems sometimes the best solution is the simplest one.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I don't know. This is going to be interesting as it winds its way through. Personally, I think I have a greater struggle with the letter as it deals with children and young adolescents.
Well, the thing is that when you deal with a letter like this, and it has to be totally comprehensive, how on earth can you deal with all of these super sensitive issues in any form of a letter without a really complete analysis and a solution? Anybody can write a scathing analysis, but if you can't come up with a reasonable solution that addresses all of the issues, then what the hell good was the analysis?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And in this case, the solution is allow gender identity to dictate, and that being how the person feels.
Yeah, but I don't see that as equitable.
And I didn't either, right? Because it ignores the feeling of other people.
Well, it ignores the feeling of the people that they're going to infringe upon that were actually born of a particular gender, feel that gender, and yet they have to endure someone walking in who was not born of that gender, doesn't look of that gender, it just says, I feel this way. I mean, what does that do for those people that are having their rights, taken from them?
Yeah. And that's the exact problem there. I would maybe, like you say, a gradual shift to the unisex thing. It's going to take a change in, societal perception.
Sure.
Which doesn't happen, just by all of a sudden turning everything unisex. It's going to take a period of transition. Not that I think that's impossible, but it's going to be a response that's going to take place over time. In the interim, to just come out and impose it, I'm not sure that was the best approach to all this. Maybe some gradual stepping into it and accommodate everybody's feelings.
Yeah. I mean, and I forget what city it's in, and I believe it's in Asia someplace. Maybe it may even be Japan, but I'm not certain of that. They have these bathrooms that are on the sidewalk, public sidewalks in cities, and you put your coin in and you go in, and they're just absolutely sterile and clean and the whole 9 yards. You go in and you do your duty, you do your job. They got a basin, the whole 9 yards. You walk out. When you close the door, it steam cleans everything and sanitizes itself before the next person can go in. I mean,
oh, there you go.
It just seems like a lot of countries have already answered these issues without it being that specific issue. You know what I mean?
Right. They held a bunch of hearings, and some of the hearings showed up in or some of the comments from the hearings held by the school board showed up. And, as you can imagine, people are very polarized on this issue. I just want to give you an idea here. Like,
sure.
I think there should be respect given to this individual that's having the trouble trying to figure out which bathroom to go in. But
yeah.
And that wasn't shown. Here's what one speaker says. One speaker calls the guy a freak and compared him to a person who thinks he is a dog and wants to urinate on fire hydrants. Now, that's a very inflammatory, very disrespectful to that individual.
Yes.
The difficulty is that this letter adopts the I think standard. by when I say gender identity. And that wasn't before the school board deal. So I mean, something needs to be done out there to accommodate the transgender community, as well as accommodating those that are not.
Well, you know,
I don't know what it is.
Well, you know what? You've flown across country into different places, right?
Yeah.
You've gotten on an airline, and when you get on an airline, you have to go to the bathroom, whether it's a jumbo jet or a small jet, and you wanted to go to the lavatory. It doesn't say men, women, or transgender. Gender. It just says lavatory.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't even think about it.
And I haven't seen, you know what? And I have walked into one after a woman walked out. I've also walked out of one where a woman walked right back in again. They give it no thought at all. All they care about is they're going to be accommodated.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that when I use the restroom, I'm always getting yelled at for leaving the toilet seat up or down. I just can't seem to get that right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know,
maybe we'll have a law on that too.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. You know, but boy, what a fascinating subject, David, if you think about it. And you could sit there and you could debate it forever. You could get into the nitty gritty and you could fine tune this thing. But the truth is the solution seems quite simple, and a lot of the world has already done it.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. I think we need to come up with a solution that at the same token doesn't open a can of worms that doesn't need to be opened.
Yeah. 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 Why make it something that it doesn't have to be? It just seems to me that, you know what? And the minute that the bathroom issue goes away, there's going to be another one. I don't know what the heck it's going to be, but there'll be another one, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's going to start. You know, and we still can't get a Supreme Court justice, and we need that. So
yeah. I mean, you know, this is crazy. I was talking to John Matthews on a segment just prior to you coming on, and we're talking about Hillary and Bernie and Donald, and what's going on. And the truth is, the good old boy network on the GOP doesn't like Donald. They would rather have Bernie. The Democrats don't want to have Hillary. They like Bernie. They think he's got a better chance of beating Donald. Hillary, we don't know that she isn't going to be indicted and incarcerated down the road. And then what happens to Bernie if he has actually quit out here? The truth is, you know, this whole thing is stupid. You know, if you're hearing this noise, there's a gnat in here. I'm trying to get it, and that's what's banging on this microphone. Anyway, the truth of the fact is that what we need is dramatic change in Washington, D.C., because if we leave this transgender deal up to the legislators in Washington, D.C., 100 years from now, they'll still be debating it.
Oh, you bet they will. You know, that is the most surprising thing out of this primary process that's come up. It's clear that a vast segment of our country is just absolutely fed up with business as usual.
Yeah.
And nobody back there seems to get a grip. It's like they've stuck their head in the sand, played ostrich, and don't understand.
Well, you know, the good old boy network, as far as Trump's concerned, they're saying, well, okay, he'll get in there, but we're going to do the same thing to him that we did to Obama, right? We're not going to let anything go. So Trump will use his executive authority, and he'll do the same thing that Obama was doing. If Hillary gets in, if the Republicans are in control, they're still not going to let her do anything. So it doesn't really make any difference who the heck gets in. Congress is not going to let anything happen until they get their way.
Yeah. But, you know, at some point, society's just going to say enough and maybe ignore these networks and actually ignore these policy parties, you know, and incumbents that stay in there forever and do nothing, and maybe throw them out, and we'll actually get people in there that are willing to address issues.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. Hey, take 30 seconds and give us some contact information for your firm, David.
Yeah, definitely. The website is www.lawbbt.com. Our phone number is 909-945-5000. And we're here in Rancho Cucamonga.
Hey, David, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Get lots of fish. Make everybody in your life happy that you're with them. And we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely. Have a good weekend, Bob.
All righty. And for you folks that are staying with us, remember, we got coming up the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. And then right behind that, our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. It's got a lot of great show for you.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time, currently 87 degrees. That's down from 89 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way to 54 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our worldwide syndicated network and you happen to be in Madrid, Spain, well, it's 50 degrees and it's clear. And in Tokyo, Japan, well, it's 75 degrees with scattered clouds. I want to make sure you stay tuned because coming up next is going to be our own live tribute to the legacy of the great late Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. It's going to be fantastic, and our story today is going to be one you're really going to enjoy. It's the kidnapping of Bab. You're going to find that really interesting. But right now, let's do the Harvard business tip of the day. Now, the management tip today is own up to your mistake when you've dropped the ball. No matter how hard you try, you're likely to disappoint a colleague at some point. But what should you do if you've let something really important slip? Instead of hiding, address the problem right away, face to face, and preferably while the other person can still make a plan B. If you're supposed to deliver a report that you can't get done, say something like, I think I'm in over my head. Do you want me to keep plugging along? Are there other people who can help? Is there any flexibility with the deadline? Don't wait until your counterpart has no other options. Take ownership by admitting you made a mistake. Then provide an explanation, but do not belabor it. A heartfelt I'm sorry can go a long, long way. Lay out a plan for how you're going to make the situation right, and in the future, be upfront about what you can and cannot do. I'm telling you, that is a way for you to run your life inside business and outside. Well, it's time for our secret daily teaching for your life. And, this is all about a positive mental attitude. I'm not going to tell you everything again about you being in total control. You hear me say it all the time. You really do control your life. Well, the secret for today is to restore harmony into a relationship. Focus on what you appreciate about the other person and not your complaints. When you focus on the wonderful things and you appreciate those, you will be astounded at how many more things to appreciate suddenly appear in the other person. Yeah, it's a fact. Just look for the good things. They're there. You just don't recognize them. Look for them. That's what's going on. Well, you know what today is. I know what today is. Today is Friday. It's May the 13th. It's Friday the 13th, and it's somebody's birthday. And we've got some terrific birthdays out there today. Let's get started with this one. A fellow that was born in 1950. Motown's prodigy, whose best album was Songs in the Key of Life. Happy birthday, Mr. Stevie Wonder. And here's a guy born in 1961, an NBA defenseman who often behaved outrageously. I was talking about him, trying to remember his name when I was talking to David Garrett a little bit earlier about the gender identity. Well, it's happy birthday, Dennis Rodman. And here's a guy that was born in 1964, witty political satirist on the Comedy Channel. Not there anymore. He's on the Tonight Show. Happy birthday, Stephen Colbert. Not the Tonight Show, I think the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And here's a guy born in 1986, actor best known as the romantic vampire in Twilight. Happy birthday, Robert Pattinson. Absolutely. Well, what do you think happened today in history? You got any idea? Well, let me tell you. On May 13th, 1880, in Menlo Park, New Jersey, Thomas Edison performs the first test of his electric railway. And in 1958, the trademark Velcro is registered. And in 1960, hundreds of UC Berkeley students congregate for the first day of protest against a visit by the House Un-American Activities Committee. 31 students are arrested, and the free speech movement was born. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the quote for today. Today's quote comes from My Yogi Teabag. Yep. And the quote is, live in your strength. That makes sense if you think about it. Now, it's time for us to talk about those interesting, but useless facts. Here we go. Let's start off with this one. The longest railway in the world is the Trans-Siberian Railway, or Trans-Siberian Railroad. It was built in 1891 and finished in 1916, a network of railways connecting European Russia with Russian Far East provinces. It is 5,787 miles long and spans 8 time zones. Wow. Can you imagine? Yeah. How about this one? By the time you turn 70, your heart will have beat some 2.5 billion times, figuring on an average of 70 beats per minute. Although I thought that the average was supposed to be 60 beats per minute, but you know what? Over 70 years, probably is 70, huh? It kind of increases. How about this one? 66% of home-based businesses are owned by women. I find that kind of interesting. Yeah. And Coffee trees are evergreen and grow to heights above 15 feet, but are normally pruned to around 8 feet in order to facilitate harvesting. Now, I find that a bit interesting. Absolutely. Well, I'll give you one more. Boxing is the only sport in which neither the spectators nor the participants know the score or the winner until the contest ends. That I find kind of interesting. Now, please stay tuned, because when we come back, it's going to be our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And it's time for our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. He's the biggest and best voice in America, reveals the startling heartbeats behind the headlines. Paul Harvey is one of America's favorite radio and TV commentators, heard over 775 ABC radio stations and over 400 foreign stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in over 300 newspapers, a recipient of numerous awards and honors, including 9 honorary degrees. On the Gallup Polls list of America's most admired men. Well, the story for today is the kidnapping of Bab. Listen to this. Of late, Italy has become the kidnapped capital of the world. Spurred by international attention to the Getty case, Italy's kidnap crime wave steadily mounted to include victims of every stature, wide-ranging ransoms, criminals with a variety of motives. I'm going to relate now what might seem to be just another one of Italy's many kidnap plots. Then, I'll tell you the rest of the story. His real name was Billy. His parents called him Bab. Bab, a pet name, short for baby. Bab was the infant son of a renowned British novelist. The family had been on tour, had only recently come to visit Naples in sunny southern Italy. Bab's mother was a fresh air fanatic. Her prime consideration, wherever the family went, was the quality of the environment for her children. While in Italy, it was nonetheless emphasized. Bab's nurse would take the child on regular outings for fresh air and sunshine. Now, I mention this to point up the predictability of Bab's daily schedule. Every afternoon at the same time, Bab and his nurse could be found in the park by the same light, sand-colored wall. So, it was on one particular afternoon when 2 immaculately dressed gentlemen approached Bab's nurse, claiming they had been sent by Bab's father to fetch the child. When the nurse offered to return Bab himself, one of the men snatched the 2-year-old boy from her arms. Both kidnappers got away. Within 24 hours, Bab's parents were notified the infant was indeed being held for ransom. The amount was equivalent in American currency to $125. That's all. $125 ransom for the boy's safe return. As Bab's parents quickly arranged to meet the kidnappers' demand, investigators put their heads together trying to make sense of it. At last, it was agreed that the kidnappers merely wanted attention, notoriety for the sake of it, with nothing more than this to go on. It was not until Bab was returned unharmed to his parents that authorities discovered the kidnappers' mountain hideout vacant. Bab's story had a happier ending than many. His captors had not been sadists, nor had they been political terrorists. In all probability, they were just small-time crooks. But if the rising international crime rate is what disturbs you most about this case, you'd perhaps be interested to know that Bab, the infant son of a celebrated English writer, was kidnapped in 1939. That's 1839. Bab's childhood from then on was healthy and normal. He grew up to become a fine young man, first a lawyer, then a writer, just like his dad. His first literary efforts were written under the pen name Bab, until he met another gentleman with whom he would collaborate on more than a dozen unforgettable stage works. 2 of those works included the kidnapping that Bab claimed to recall. But you remember Bab for his fastidiously witty rhymes, for his capricious librettos, to the world's best-loved comic operas. For Bab, the infant was once spirited away and ransomed for $125. Grew up to satirize his childhood misfortune in the Gondoliers and HMS Pinafore. Bab was Sir William S. Gilbert, one half of the most remarkable Gilbert and Sullivan. And now, you truly know the rest of the story. Well, I want to encourage you to get my app at Robert Cardoza Live. If you have a Apple product, just go to the Apple Store, search Robert Cardoza Live. And if you've got an Android product or a Windows product, just go to googleplay.com. Again, search Robert Cardoza Live. Download the app. It's absolutely free. It'll let you listen to our show live if we're broadcasting live like we are now. Or you can listen to all of our archives at any time you want. You can even chat with us on that app, and we can talk to you. The other thing is, it makes it available for you on those archives. There's a little information tag there. It'll tell you what each show is actually about, and we'd appreciate it if you'd get that app. You can listen to us worldwide, anytime, anywhere, anyway. And you know what? Tell your friends about it, and tell your friends about our show. I truly, really appreciate it. We can try and make the show more and more interesting for you if you just email us at robertcardozalive@gmail.com and tell us what it is you want more of or what you want less of. We're trying to make changes that'll be interesting for you. Hopefully you're enjoying our tribute to the great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. These are unique and wonderful visits that we're doing, and we think that hopefully a majority of you are enjoying it. We're getting some positive feedback, and that's terrific. So, you know what, with that, I don't want to take an awful lot more time. On my next show, we're going to be talking to John Matthews, Joe Hakos. Actually, not John Matthews. He's going to be on vacation in Europe. We'll be talking to Joe Hakos. Joe Hakos and I are going to be talking about conservative politics. While John's gone, John will be back in about 2 weeks. John Hanson will be here, though, on Monday, and we'll be talking about food and wine. It's always interesting with John, and I'm going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey with the rest of the story, so please tell all of your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.